following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Thank you, Tally Olson. We are back, the Mets in the zone. I've got the two Met mavens with us. Marty Rose, how are you?
I'm good, Ralph. How you doing tonight?
Good. We finally got a good connect, which is always nice, having a good connect.
Definitely.
Down the road someplace, whatever you're connecting with. Robert Cole is here as well. How are you?
Doing good, Ralph. Doing good.
Oh, good. We're going to talk a little Met ball, but first, starting it off, not that this is not Met ball, Marty sent me a book 2 or 3 months ago, and I was in the process of writing my own book, so it took me this long to get to it. After the Miracle, The Lasting Brotherhood of the 69 Mets, and this was written with Eric Sherman's help by Art Shamsky, platoon right fielder, platooned with Ron Swoboda, on that 1969 Miracle Amazing Met Championship. And I thought it would be nice if I've browsed the book heavily in the last few days. Marty read it a while back, and of course Robert knows everything about everything concerning the Mets. Really and truthfully, I introduced you guys as mavens, and not only do you keep up with what's going on now, but you have incredible memories of the old days, the original Mets, the 69 Mets, 73, which was my favorite team of all time, Met-wise. Anyway, I'm proud to have both of you on the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, even if I don't know what the hell it is. I'm still proud of you. I can be proud and ignorant and even stupid at the same time. So I'm ignorant, stupid, and proud. And the big three, ladies and gentlemen, like Ballantine beer, the three rings. And not embarrassed by it, because just that I'm alive and we're all alive and have our a bag full of brain marbles with us. We don't seem to lose those, and that really contributes to a happy ending for it all, if you will. And what better way to end life with a podcast that reflects it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to cut to Robert, and he's going to talk about what he remembers about Art Shamsky. And then Marty and I will talk about the book a little bit.
Well, the interesting thing about, I started reading the book, and, as much as I remember about the team, I had forgotten that Shamsky actually was sent to the minor leagues to start the season. And he was brought up several weeks into the season, which is something that I had forgotten. And, he quickly, as you said, became a platoon partner of Swoboda's. But when he was with Cincinnati, he had a couple of pretty good power years. I believe he hit like 17 or 18 home runs one year. And, he was sort of an afterthought, when the Mets got him, and became quite an important player in that 69 year.
Speaking of spending some time in the minors, I was reading in that book that Gil Hodges was really a tough guy. It was his team, And he sent Cranepool this was maybe in 1970, back to the minors for a couple of weeks.
Right.
He would not, even though by then Cranepool was a veteran, but even the veterans, and it talks in the book about how these guys, Swoboda talked about opening his big mouth one day and getting a glare from Hodges that was ice, like an iceberg. You didn't mess with Gil Hodges on that team, and I just wanted to note that. Shamsky was quite an addition. That was a great platoon.
Yeah, he did. Well, he did hit 14 homers that year. You
Mm-hmm.
know, in 100 games. So yeah, I mean, what I got out of that book, as far as Gil Hodges goes, is that a lot of them were upset at certain moves that he made, but on the whole, they realized that the team was doing well, and he knew what the hell he was doing. They really got, after a while, they got to respect him, and they did not question anything once they started, once everybody saw what they had there. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, Ron Swoboda, said he never got along with Gil Hodges when he was on the Mets. And it was in the later years that he realized how wrong he was and how right Gil Hodges was.
Yeah. And you have to realize these guys were 22, 23, and Hodges was, a 15-year veteran of the majors by that time. Probably 20 years in the majors by that time, including coaching and managing.
Yeah.
So
the oldest guys in the starting lineup were like 26.
Right.
Grody and Cleon and Agee were 26. Swoboda was 25. Harrison
Right.
was 25. So these guys were right there.
And let's talk about the times of rebellion. 68, 69, Summer of Love, long hair, all the things that were going on in the newly rich. The ball players were like making more bucks than they ever thought they would in their lives, even though it wasn't the bucks like free agency. They were living pretty good for 23 and or 24, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it did take some skill on Hodges's part to keep it all together. So hats off to you, Gil.
Don't forget, Hodges was a Marine, a World War II, Marine. And, he lived that creed. He was a very religious man, very strict. So it was, as you guys were saying, the late 60s was a turning point. And he was an old, still old school when the new school was just starting.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So, all those things mixed together, given, I think in 68 they were finished 8th.
Yes, which was an improvement. By the way.
Yes. I personally thought they were playing over their heads, but being a lifetime Met fan, they probably were in 68. But in 69, Hodges, I get from the book and other books, Hodges and Grody were the only two that could dare to dream a pennant, let alone a World Series.
Grody was very high on the pitching staff, very high.
Yeah,
right. As well, he should have been. I'm reading in this book about Nolan Ryan making a 2-inning save in a crucial time, and wonder what could have been had those guys stayed together. Seaver, Kuzmin, Ryan, Gentry.
Right.
Wow. And speaking of those times, I remember Danny Frisella, rest in peace. May he rest in peace.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of guys coming up. I wanted to make note, too, that Alvin Jackson, little Alvin Jackson from Waco, Texas, pitched on that 69 team.
Early in the season. Yeah.
He was 33. Yeah, he pitched in 9 games. And it was, an inning here, an inning there type of thing. So. Yeah,
but it was, that kind of thing is nice in Met lore because we don't have much of it. And so I will thank you once again, Mert, for sending me that book. And
no problem.
We will continue referring to it and looking back in memories, and that's always fun.
Oh, yeah.
It's always fun. Today is fun to talk about the Mets. And as Robert described it in a message to the two of us, they're manic.
Manic depressive.
Manic depressive.
Yeah, manic depressive. Okay.
Up and down, up and down. Start with Marty. What's your response to that? And what do you think contributes to their playing the kind of ball they've been playing?
Well, I don't know who. I think it was Keith Hernandez the other day saying they got to play every day. He kept saying that because all the postponements that they've had, the schedule's been terrible for them. They had, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 postponements at least, and then they were playing in freezing weather in Colorado and Chicago. I mean, I really think that once the weather heats up, then you'll start to see a more consistent hitting approach there. These guys got to play every day. They can't be, playing 2 days and sitting 2 days. It just doesn't work. I think that's the whole problem, and the lack of playing every day in the cold is a little too much. Okay.
I just lost my train of thought, but it was a good one. Oh, I wanted to tell you, when this team does gel, when the hitting does gel and the defense settles down, I don't know what that's going to take. You could look for this pitching staff to be a winner. They're going to be contenders all through the year. You cannot go wrong. Stroman, look at his ERA. Look at DeGrom. We could be seeing a Sandy Koufax, Tom Seaver kind of person.
We are seeing
he could be the best of our generation pitching-wise. And not of our generation, but we had a lot of pitchers to choose from. But these guys stand up. DeGrom makes it. He could be the next coming of George Thomas.
Yeah, seems to be that way.
Yeah.
As of now, sure does.
makes you. He's having the kind of years that Gooden had early on, and it makes one sad that he was such a flash lightning that only lasted a short period of time. His demons or whatever.
What could have been, you'll never know.
Right. This guy, I remember seeing him pitch early on, it might have been 85 at Candlestick, and seeing a curveball that was very reminiscent of Koufax. Pure and simple. Kind of sad along those lines, and I hope he's keeping it together, because every 5 or 6 months there seems to be something to read about that isn't encouraging. So
this staff just is incredible. I mean, Walker with 7 scoreless the other day. Carrasco's going to be back in 2 weeks. Syndergaard's going to be back in June. And what's going to happen? I mean, Peterson's been pitching pretty well. He's going to wind up in the bullpen. But
what's going to happen? It's going to strengthen.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. Get rid of some of those bums out there.
Peterson, I think, will go back to AAA because they want to keep him stretched out.
Right.
He's too young to, put in the bullpen right now. So when, Carrasco and Syndergaard come back, I fully, unless somebody else gets hurt, and that's possible too.
That's very possible.
I fully expect him probably to go back to Syracuse and, stay sharp.
Mm. Yeah.
Just a little remembrance of Brody Van Wagenen. I've got the Rays game on, and Jed Lowry, who has now played in more games and is the starting second baseman for the Oakland A's, he's played more games already this year than he did in 2 years with the Mets, and he's running around the field. He just made an incredible back to the home plate catch in short right field, and the guy could barely walk when he's with the Mets.
Go figure.
Well, they wouldn't operate on him, from what I read.
That's what they're saying, yeah. Well, he said that, yeah.
Yeah, he says that, but he may have a grudge, but he's playing good ball, and
yes,
it kind of redeems me in you guys' eyes, because I was very high on getting him when they got him. I couldn't agree more with the acquisition, and because I knew him to be a solid hitter and versatile, could play short, could play second.
Yeah,
and
you can't do anything about injuries; they just happen.
That's true.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, and that's also, unfortunately, is something with the Mets uniform and certain players that comes out also.
Well, it's not just with the Mets. It's playing in New York. It's that age-old thing where guys like Whitson with the Yankees just can't play in New York, where a Reggie Jackson, on the other hand, can embrace the pressures, because it isn't the same as anywhere in the country. You don't have 15 beat guys wanting an interview every day. It's the pressure comes from within, certainly, but the outside pressure is immense. You walk down the street and you're, hey, you're a bum. That doesn't happen in Kansas City. And, rightfully so. They're a big market team and they expect a lot, and there's a lot of money involved. But you either can or you can't play in New York. So,
who was that big-time pitcher that the Mets had that didn't want to be there?
He went to Colorado?
Yeah. I can't remember his name.
Oh, because the schools were better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. In Colorado,
Yeah.
I'm sure they were.
I'm sure they're teaching you. Yes, they're teaching you gun safety in the schools in Colorado. How to load your own A14 or whatever the fuck it is.
One thing to add here: Matt Harvey pitching against the Yankees tonight. So far,
Yeah.
5 innings, 1 hit, 5 strikeouts.
Whoa.
Go figure.
Matt's like numbers.
Yeah, it's Mets alumni night. They're all over the place.
Amazing.
That is very strange.
Yeah, I'm
Really?
talking about flash in the pans and phenoms. There's another one. Matt Harvey. We thought we thought he was going to be DeGrom before DeGrom.
Yeah.
Right? Absolutely. But we talked about injuries that just happened. His was a lot more serious than even he knew while it was going on. And got to give him credit for coming back and keeping with it. He could have given up. I root for those guys, Mats, and can't root against them. Life's too short.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Mats is having a good season.
Damn good. See, I think it was 4-0 the last I looked. I don't think he's been hit up since then. So, anything else you guys want to talk about? Anything that comes to mind? Start with you, Robert.
Well, I've always, enjoyed following minor league baseball, and it's getting started later this year. I believe May 6th is opening night, but there's nothing being talked about, with minor league baseball, and usually there would be, and that's disappointing to me. I'm hoping to, follow the Syracuse team, the Mets teams, and there's very, very little even on the internet. In fact, on the internet site, I posted all the teams a couple of weeks ago, and there's very little information. That's disappointing to me.
Do you subscribe to the Baseball America dealie on
Online?
the internet?
Yeah. Yes.
Online. Have they been covering the minors with their usual excellence, or what?
Not as well this year, simply because it's been so disjointed. Normally the minor leagues start a couple of weeks after the majors in spring training. This year they kept them separate. Spring training for the minor leagues didn't start until the major league season started. And instead of their season starting the same as the major leagues, it's starting May 6th. And of course they redid all the minors, so you no longer have an international league or a Pacific Coast League. It's
right. Every team got 4 minor league teams, and that's it.
Right. And like Port St. Lucie is no longer the high A team; it's now the low A team. And the Brooklyn Cyclones is no longer a rookie league team; it's the high A team. And it's just crazy trying to keep up with it.
And how down the road is that, and this is a rhetorical question, how is that going to affect the quality of the game down the road? Because with the lack of playing and what have you comes the lack of instruction. And you can't get better unless you play. So, I'm
thinking it's only this year. I don't know if it's just me, but I think this alternate site stuff is just because they weren't sure about how many guys were going to come down with the COVID,
Right.
That's why everybody got an alternate site, and the guys they're close by. They could get there in like a couple of hours. So I'm thinking next year, if everything gets back to where it should be, I think everything will go back. You know, that they'll start the minors when they should normally, and you know, they're already raising the capacity to 1/3 in New York. So, you know, the capacity is going to be like 14,000 now instead of 8,000 like it was before. So that's going to keep increasing, and it's just the whole minor league thing. I think next year will be, you know, more normal, and I hope they stop this 7-inning stuff. Honest to God.
Oh, that drives me crazy, and I have to admit, it still hasn't gone down with me that if there's an extra inning game, the guy starts on second.
Yeah, well, we've seen it a lot already. It's terrible.
Right,
yeah.
Right. It really ruins. Plus, the whole strategy of the game. You're looking at your middle inning relievers to come in after 4 or 5 innings, at most. That's why, for me, it was nice to see DeGrom get a 9-inning shutout win.
I was shocked when it came out for the 9th. I really was.
Right.
But, you know, he didn't have that many pitches, so, yeah.
No, I think he finished with like 110.
Right.
You know.
And that whole idea of not having that many pitchers, what do you think Warren Spahn would say? He would throw games of 240 pitches. There's that game with Marichal and Spahn.
Right.
They each threw well over 200 pitches. And there's the old theory that throwing a lot makes you stronger, and that being coddled is not good for a pitcher. We've talked about this before. There's nothing said in concrete about that. And just like when it comes to medical stuff, there's nothing said in concrete about this COVID and you mentioned when things get back to normal. Mm-hmm. The variants could start taking over. And the lack of folks who are getting vaccinated scares me. I was talking to Robert off the air. Mm-hmm. I'm scheduled for my first vaccine tomorrow at 11:30.
Oh, cool. Okay.
That's the good news. The bad news is for the Spanish flu.
But at least it's the vaccine. At least it's the vaccine, Ralph.
Well, I do my best. That's the very scary part. The scariest part is this is my best. And speaking of which, my best is really in putting together a terrific Mets crew. Robert Cole, Marty Rose, thank you for your presence, and we'll be back in 2 weeks. That's a warning, everybody, not a threat. All right. Stay well, guys.
You too. Have a good one.
You too, Ralph.
Enjoy.
All right. Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Happy trails.
The proceeding has been a Comfortably Zoned network production. You are advised to keep your dreams wet, your humor dry, your children and grandchildren out of military recruiting offices and off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. Thank you for listening, everyone. Happy trails.